Welcome to the Rialto Marketing Podcast. Today's episode is a revenue acceleration series interview where we talk to seven-figure B2B professional service firm owners and executives about what they are doing to actively grow their business. We talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly so that you can learn from their experience. Hi, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing, where we believe marketing shouldn't be difficult. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. I am super excited to have with me Scott Woods from ITS. Scott, welcome and thanks for being here.
Hey, Tim. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to dig into this with you today. Before we do that, I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions. You ready to jump in with both feet?
Let's do it.
Okay, man. Very quickly, what do you do? How long have you been doing it?
Well, currently I'm the vice president here at ITS, responsible for business development. I've only been doing this part of the role for a year or two, and this has really added on the sales and marketing aspect, where originally I was brought on as director of operations. And, once we cleaned that up, shifted to being responsible for sales and marketing as well.
Awesome. So, what's the most important thing you've learned so far?
Is to never stop learning. Really, you can't get stuck thinking that you're the best at everything. Especially in the wild world of being an MSP.
Yeah.
It is best to, ask for help. Don't pretend that you know it all. We all are those ducks who look calm on the surface, but below the surface our feet are flapping furiously to stay afloat.
Yeah, I love that one, man. One of my mentors early on said, "The day I stop learning is the day I die," and I, I don't know, something about that just always resonated with me. So, I love that. So, dude, I know biz dev, sales, marketing, right? There's nothing that's easy in business, right? Growing a business is hard. Do you have any kind of mantra or motivational saying that you say to yourself or share with people on the team to help you guys push through those times when you're hitting roadblocks?
Definitely we do. It's about being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
To me, taking some of my past experience, I was able to find success when, there were times of adversity, times of pushing through it, through growth, similar to going to the gym and, working at your muscles and they come away really sore and, you're in a lot of pain, but you grow from that. So if you're comfortable with that discomfort, you're going to be on that growth mindset, be a lifelong learner. So that's part of, how we all work together to push through those tough projects, those hard moments. Those customers sometimes yelling at us, but we push through that because we're very comfortable being uncomfortable.
That when we're in that place of being uncomfortable, that's where we grow, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If we're always comfortable, we're not growing.
Growth is pain.
Yeah, that's right. Well, so dude, that leads me to the first thing that I really want to dig in with you. You played basketball at Stanford. Very cool. What did you learn from that experience that you're now applying in business? Like, how has that helped you after the fact?
Yeah, I will start off by prefacing it saying I'm actually 6'10". It doesn't come off in the video. That was, obviously a big factor in trying out basketball.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, some of the takeaways I got with that competitive edge is really understanding that there's a process. And if you do the process, which is those daily actions, it's going to lead to long-term results, right? It's almost like if you want to be better than the next player, you want to get in the gym more often than they are. It really is just a daily grind, just as making cold calls every single day, sending emails, following up, doing drop-ins. You have to be comfortable with the constant process. So that's been extremely helpful in really ensuring that we have those measurable actions, because it's really easy to see, hey, if we put this input in, these are going to be the results long term.
Yeah.
Um, so really, it's that daily commitment.
Are a lot of those steps in the process, they're not necessarily large steps, right? I mean, they're little daily actions, little things that are easy for a lot of people to overlook and not do. Is that right?
Yeah, I think, as you know, a lot of business leaders tend to want to look at the big picture and
Yeah.
fix and tune every little single piece at a time. But I think it's more important to focus on those individual skills. Similar, with basketball, if you want to improve your ball handling or your shooting, you're going to work on drills and continue to build off those previous skills that you've developed, right? Fundamentals, and then building it up from there. A lot
Yeah.
of business owners are going to skip the fundamentals. They think that, we
Yes.
do this really well already, or I've, had success in the past for this way. But really, it's just the constant grind every single day, trying to get better. You take a week or two off, and look what happens. You start to get a little rusty. You don't feel as in tune to everything going on with the business. You may lose some of that drive. It's just important to just set
Yeah.
aside a little bit of time every single day to focus on those important bite-sized projects that you want to improve on.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite quotes on the fundamentals is from Michael Jordan, and he said, "Get the fundamentals down, and the level of everything you do will rise." And
Yeah.
on the marketing side of things, that's always stuck with me because so many people skip the fundamentals of marketing and they wonder why stuff's not working. And it's because, well, you skip the fundamentals. Like, we got to go back. Like, the fundamentals are not sexy and cool, right? But it's what allows you to be great over and over and over again, right? Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for bringing up the fundamentals because when it comes to marketing, I
And and
love the fundamentals.
that brings up a good point too. And you don't have to be Michael Jordan,
No,
of whatever business
no.
vertical you're in. Every player, as long as they're committing their time and energy, they will get better, uh, regardless. That's just the important part of it.
Yeah. Well, and the fundamentals lay the foundation for, some of those more advanced skills, right? You can't step up to a major league fastball before you get the fundamentals down, right? I mean, you can't skip all those steps. You're never going to be successful that way.
Exactly.
And there's fundamentals in every discipline. It's not just sports. It's every discipline within our business, within our personal lives. It's so, yeah,
Yeah,
fundamentals super
absolutely.
important. Um, I want to shift gears a little bit because I know one of the things we talked about in the pre-interview was this white glove service delivery that you guys offer at ITS. I'm just curious, what kind of inspired that, and how does that help set you guys apart from competitors? Can you dig into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the owner of our company really put that motto in place. She wanted the company to feel like Nordstrom. That white glove experience, essentially,
Yeah.
that comes with maybe that type of shopping experience. So we found that business owners, they really tend to understand the value of that trust and reliability. That comes with having more of a strategic IT partner that they can trust with their business, rather than us just being sort of like a reactionary, call me with you when you need something,
Yeah.
uh, type of business. So that means if they're requesting something, we're going to go above and beyond to communicate all the steps necessary to help ensure that all parties involved get communicated to. For our technology type services, we handle it to make it as simple as possible. So even a fifth grader could theoretically, have the technology of their business be perfectly handled, and it allows us to create long-term relationships because we've handled their matters so excellently, whether it was a customer service follow-up or whether it was an actual technical type project that was just done so eloquently where the user walked away and said, wow, I see now the value this is going to provide to my business, and this was so wonderfully set up and it's easy to use. That white glove approach just ends up leaving us with clients that may stick with us for 20 plus years. And,
Yeah.
the lifetime value of a client who's paying us every month, um, is incredibly valuable.
Do you guys do you have that white glove service, you know, branded? Do you have a name around it? Do you talk about it in your sales process or in your marketing?
It's a differentiator for sure, especially when it comes to our IT support. It
Yeah.
helps explain why we are going to be one of the more expensive people that you would be working with. I have a product, we call it peace of mind. It does align with this white glove service where if you get this peace of mind add on to your existing service, we tell them, hey, you can call us anytime and we're going to handle any issue you need.
Yeah.
We're selling a phone system and they want their holiday schedule updated on Monday and they call us Friday at 4:45 because they didn't want to do it themselves and they were just leaving the office. We'd be happy to take care of that for them, kind of
Gonna
like a
get that.
concierge or really an in-house IT with some really good manners would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Do you use the Nordstrom analogy when you talk about your white glove service
It's
ever?
very digestible, yeah, to prospects.
Yeah.
They know the difference, between a Lexus and a Toyota.
Yeah.
They know they're not Mercedes or cars or different stores. These real world analogies do
Yeah.
become very helpful in understanding the perceived value of what we do as a company, which is provide technology services.
Yeah.
So that's a great real world example, for a business owner to really align with.
Yeah. Yeah. You're Nordstrom's, you're not Walmart.
Yeah, we try not to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna sell on price ever.
Yeah.
It's a complete selling on value. I think if we sell on price, you lose on price.
Yeah.
We'd rather have long term relationships with people who truly value us and appreciate the work we do for them.
When I think most people, I don't know if I don't hear about this stuff as much anymore, but like when I was growing up, especially like with Nordstrom, I mean, everybody had a story that either they had personally experienced or they knew somebody had experienced at Nordstrom with something, right? They took back something that they bought, whatever, a year ago or 2 years ago, and there was like no questions asked, right? Um, those types of stories, so the minute you talk about Nordstrom, it just conjures up these feelings, this impression of what your business is like. And they know that they're going to pay for it, but they're willing to pay for that because of the value and the service that comes behind that. So it's a great analogy, right? Now, Scott, you had mentioned what ITS has been in business, what, 34 years ish, around there, right? Long time.
30, yeah, a little over 34. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys are obviously doing something right. You don't stay in business that long without it. But like after being in business 34 years, what would you say? What are the most significant, challenges or challenge in sustaining growth?
Um, I think maybe for any businesses, but specifically a technology business, it's really about partnering with the right vendors and companies
Yeah.
that can help provide that deep knowledge and support for the stack of services that we're providing. It's kind of like the old saying goes, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know.
Yeah.
And that holds very true for how we can position ourselves in the marketplace, and constantly evolve as technology does.
Yeah.
One vendor may be around this year, and in 2 years, they're nowhere to exist because there's 10 more. And with more common use of AI, we may see more prevalent softwares, revolving even quicker than they already do now.
Yeah.
Um, we do have to constantly accelerate our change just as technology has changed. And I think that has set us up for success because we know that what we're doing today may not work in a year or two. So
Yeah.
aligns with that growth mindset, lifelong learner. It's an infinite game, so to speak, as Simon Sinek says.
I could see too, like, the IT space is not, by itself in this regard, but you guys, when you look at, vendors that you're going to work with, like, you're putting a lot of eggs in a few baskets, right? I mean, you're putting a lot of trust in vendors. Um, and that can be challenging at times, right? Because if they sometimes vendors are, at the top of their game, and then, 2 years later they're not, right? And so being able to adapt to change and being flexible, man, is critical, right?
Absolutely. And I think it really does apply to any small business, right? How are you packaging and taking the different parts and pieces of the
Yeah.
different vendors you're using, the cost of goods, and providing it to the end user. Like the way that you're framing it, I really now understand. Like, oh, even like a roofing company, which materials you're ordering from. Are there lots of
Yep.
delays? Do they not have good color options? Does the material always come broken? Same with IT or any other business. Is really the value we provide to the marketplace is that we are experts on XYZ.
Yeah.
We're experts on technology, and that's why you would want to partner with us. I hope that other business owners really do understand that that's kind of all they're doing. If they like this type of thing and they're running this type of business because they like it, well, they're probably the super passionate and have a ton of knowledge. And it's just important that you just kind of share that knowledge with other people.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah. Um, I want to talk a little bit about marketing. I probably should. Um, One of the things we touched on that you shared with me in the pre-interview was that you guys have started to take more of a focused approach with targeted marketing campaigns. Can you share with us a little bit more about just like what are you doing now that you weren't doing before?
well, what we may not have been doing before is is actually pretty interesting. I think we were doing it right before, but we weren't as organized. So if we took marketing as a whole and put it into two categories of content and distribution,
Yeah.
we used to definitely kind of have content. Here's a sales sheet. Here's a data sheet about our product, and if ask for it, we'll provide it. Our distribution was these shotgun blasts of information
Yeah.
to groups of audiences that we hope maybe stuck. So as we've evolved, we've really tried to narrow down what that audience is going, what's helpful for them, what content
Yeah.
is helpful. And the distribution has gone, or the distribution has gone from maybe one or two touch points to now a consistent process of 10 to 18 touch points. For example, part of our content distribution maybe include a 4-week campaign where every week on the Thursday we send them a postcard, and then on Tuesday of the next week, we're calling to follow up. So we've systemized the entire approach rather than it just be like, hey, we have a list of people, and every time we come up with a new blog or we come with a new piece of content, we send it out. But now we look at it a year in advance, understanding which target verticals, which audience we're going after for each campaign,
Yeah.
what is the content we have. We now do blogs, ebooks, motion graphic videos. Um, there's a few more pieces as well, including like infographics, but we are trying to just provide them so much useful content, not just
Yeah.
like crappy content, but actually stuff that may apply to, let's say, a specific type of business owner in this specific type of area.
Yeah.
And narrowing down our approach, the metaphor of like a sniper shot versus the shotgun blast
Yeah.
has, hopefully is going to lead us to some success. It is a long-term game, marketing, as you know. So I think
Yeah.
we've started this in 2024, and right now we are really just dialing in that process and consistency, because just like anything else,
Are you targeting specific verticals with your campaigns, or are you targeting in other ways?
specific verticals
Okay.
is the best way we can build an audience.
Yeah.
If we go in like to LinkedIn Sales Navigator and build a list of, let's say for
Yeah.
my area, it would be, family law practices who, focus on divorce in
Yeah.
Ventura County
Yeah.
or LA County, for example. So extremely specific so that each script that we're using when we're cold calling, when we're mailing is definitely tailored
To
towards
that. Yeah.
family law firms. All the content we're providing value as in is only going to apply really to their type of business.
Yeah.
That's
I man, I want to pull some stuff out here because this is really good. And I see this all the time in the MSP space, but it is not relegated to just the MSP space where man, I'm a huge fan of focusing on specific verticals because I just think it's the simplest way to narrow and specialize. There are certainly other ways, but there are a lot of benefits with narrowing in on specific verticals that you just touched on. Your message can be catered specifically to that, right? And the more specific we are with our message, the more it's going to resonate. It's going to convert better. The other thing that I love about narrowing down on specific industry verticals is it becomes much simpler to identify where they're at. I call it an ideal client GPS, right? Like we will guide clients through it or we'll do it for them where we create that list of where are your ideal clients, right? The ideal client GPS tells you exactly where you need to go to get in front of those people. It is much easier to create that list when you go by vertical. So you mentioned divorce attorneys, right? Well, like where are divorce attorneys? Like what are there people they follow? Are there podcasts they listen to? Are there YouTube channels that they watch? What's the local bar association that they belong to? What events or conferences do they go to? Those are all opportunities for you to market to that specific audience. um, so many people are afraid of doing that, but the other thing that you touched on is, man, you're just you can certainly go all in and say, hey, we're the IT firm for divorce attorneys. That's one way to do it. A lot of people are scared to do that, and that's okay. But you've got to focus your marketing efforts at the very least, which is exactly what you're doing. You're saying, hey, we're going to take these marketing dollars and we're going to focus on divorce attorneys, or we're going to focus on CPAs. You're being targeted with your marketing. It doesn't necessarily mean that those are the only people that you're going to work with. But
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
that ideal customer profile is really important to understand.
yeah,
Um, for a type of company that provides something that's complex,
yeah,
it's a lot easier to know what that end user is going to behave like, what their needs are, what kind of pain points do they usually have. That makes it a lot easier to sell because you've worked with other types of businesses and you've solved those issues before.
yeah,
You also are able to provide social proof. Hey,
yeah,
prospect, did you know that I work with 5 companies that are just like you and they're extremely happy and this is what they've said about me?
yeah,
Would you be interested in hearing about what I do? Social proof. I love that you mentioned conferences. If you do know that you're only targeting one or two specific type of verticals, it's a lot easier to look up just those one or two conferences. If you're saying, hey, I want to be the biggest type of this company in this type of area,
yeah,
you're going to go to every single conference. So, you might be 2 or 3 conferences a month, who knows? And you might be talking to 50 different types of businesses that you don't know how they're run or how that you could actually help them.
yeah,
So it's super important. Any prospect, anyone we talk to, we take a needs based approach. So if we don't understand from the get go what type of needs they might have, it's going to be a lot harder to provide have any opportunities to solve those needs or pain points,
yeah.
you know, as a business for them.
Well, and just to stick with the attorney lane here, if you can start to talk about the specific types of software that attorneys typically use, right? And how you guys create this seamly IT infrastructure with those tools, right? You're speaking their language. I mean, like that is hyper relevant to them. Um, so it's just there's so many benefits to focusing on industry verticals with marketing efforts. Again, it's not the only way, but man, I think it's one of the most simple ways. And it's I was talking to an MSP the other day about he was talking about how they're networking more, right? And they're going to local networking events. And this comes up all the time. And it's like, okay, great. So you go to a general networking event where there's a bunch of small businesses there. Like maybe there's a client, but wouldn't you rather go to a local attorney meeting and know that everybody that you talk to there is targeted? Doesn't mean that still both situations, you're not going to be able to help everybody that's there. But man, there's a much higher likelihood and it's much more targeted if you're very specific about it. And so, um, thank you for sharing that because it's a difficult thing for people to make the choice to do, but it's something that needs to be done because with as small businesses, man, we don't have unlimited marketing budgets, and you have to be targeted with your marketing if you want to maximize that budget. So super
Yeah,
super important.
we agree.
um so where do you got guys been in business 34 years, where do you see the company going in the next 5 years? What are you guys doing now to help get to that place?
We're riding the wave of technology,
Yeah.
as more and more automation and cheaper intelligence is getting brought into the workplace. We're definitely taking advantage of that to help maximize, the value for our clients, making sure that
Yeah.
their problems and issues are solved quicker. Taking care of our employees' happiness as well is super important. Anything we can automate, we'd like to, and we hope that improvements in efficiency can help drive that growth.
Yeah.
But on the other side, the sales and marketing and the process that we've developed and we've humbly learned from people who know a lot more about us, we're hopefully going to see some success for the next 5 years. So our goal is to bring on 18 new clients a year for the next 5 years. 12 to 18 new clients a year for the next 5 years. That would be around $40,000 in new revenue a month.
A month.
Um,
Yeah.
per year, additionally. So that would be really great for a business of our size.
Yeah. For if people are listening and you're not in the MSP space, yeah, those are good goals. And yeah, so thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. Before we wrap things up, I want to ask you one last thing, Scott, which is knowing what you know now, anything you would do differently?
Oof. That's a great question. I would say um, to don't spend my time on the things I find easiest. I think as business leaders, we're going to gravitate towards things we like,
Yeah.
things that are more comfortable maybe for us. But we all, I think, know at the end of the day where our business needs the most attention, and it's usually on the stuff that's kind of annoying. And I wish that I had not distracted myself and allowed myself to say, "Hey, let me make our portal super good, or let me make this super efficient, or let me make this product as super awesome as it could be." When at the end of the day, I should have just spent my time picking up the phone and calling people, or calling
Yeah.
my clients and asking for referrals, or doing the important stuff, rather than the stuff I thought was important, but it was really just easiest.
Yeah. Somebody I knew through a business group used to call that, he always used to refer to that as playing office, right?
Mm,
It's like stop playing office and do what you really need to do, right?
yeah,
There's always an email that you can write or some other thing that you need to do, but what you really need to do is pick up the phone, right? Talk to clients or talk to strategic partners or whatever. We know what we really need to do, but we play office to avoid doing it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And delegate,
Yeah.
empower your team, create a culture where your team that you have is making their own decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
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 awesome,
super
man.
important. Yeah.
I love it, Scott. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your thoughts. Where can people learn more about you?
If they're interested in learning about IT services and how we can help deliver meaningful business outcomes with thoughtful use of technology, they can learn more about us at itstelecom.com. We can schedule a meeting, talk for 15 minutes about how technology affects their business. But we're not really looking to sell anything. We're offering free advice as
Yeah,
needed, looking to support any small, medium business, really in the California area. But happy to refer other folks. We have a big network of MSPs we work with.
yeah. Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you, Scott. I really appreciate it. Go check out itstelecom.com. We'll make sure that shows up in the show notes as well. Those of you that are watching, listening, thank you. Appreciate you. If you want to connect with us, you can do that over at rialtomarketing.com. The other tool we've got for you, Scott shared some of the cool things that they're doing to grow. If you want to know which of the 9 revenue roadblocks are slowing down your growth, you can do that over at revenueroadblockscorecard.com. Takes less than 5 minutes. There's a ton of value in that report. So go check it out. And until next time, take care.